I think it should be fixed. Am I alive again, guys? Can you guys see me? That's it, yep. Worked out what it was, it's all fixed now. Sorry about that, guys. And there was no good reason for this to be happening, but we fixed it.
Alright, so I like these forward towers here from HamRTime. HamRTime pushing Eye off his main gold and the forward stone here. He's trying to get some archery ranges down, but we know that HamRTime has been on stone for a while now, so if he gets up to Castle Age, he's probably going to be able to... Well, he's used most of his stone, but I was thinking he's just going to be able to drop some Husk Arrows, but not currently.
I feel like it's fine though, and also what I'd like to see Hammer do here right now, I know that he doesn't have any urgency to take out this tower, but I would probably just send one villager and wall it in just to take out this watchtower from Eye. Whilst all this other stuff is happening. Eye now being forced to be really heavy on this one gold is pretty inefficient at the moment. And his also, is something else that me and Soldier were talking about, it's also the base setup. It's really, when you've had to set up your base like this, it is pretty awkward. HamRTime getting fletching and going up to the castle age though.
Yeah, and he's already got such a villager lead right now. He's still up 7 villagers. I didn't see if he got wheelbarrow.
You can quickly check if you'd like. We'll do 2 times speed, I think. Catch up to live a little bit. HamRTime managing to keep these men at arms alive, and it's not even, at this point, it's not even about keeping them alive so much as it is just having the threat there.
Yeah, and no wheelbarrow yet for him, but still looking in a really good place. KD 9-2.
The men at arms get in.
Favor.
The archers will be able to pick off one villager going down and one man at arms going down. I definitely would take that trade in the situation. Another villager's going to go down. It was building a blacksmith on the side.
And the good thing is he hardly needs Husk Arrows here. If he can keep creeping forward with towers, the towers will protect his man-at-arms from the archers.
And it's not even that. HamRTime with the 400 IQ is going into building a stable, and he will be going knights by the looks of things. Knight Skirmisher, fully upgraded for Goston and Castle Age.
There are a couple archers though on HamRTime's base right now, sitting under his tower.
Thing is, just with the skirmishers. Oh, I unfortunately missed that. So much happening.
Oh, you have Cookcasters. Yeah, it is an action-packed game. They're so close together right now.
I think if Hammer had battered down this tower, he would have been in an even better position, because now the thing is with the tower, it's still able to harass him. Okay, now I've caught up to live gameplay, so it's not happening so quickly.
Yeah, and pretty good army size here. Pretty good archers from Eye. We do have Castle Age though from HamRTime, so HamRTime probably gonna be in a really good position here. We see one of the first knights coming out. They do have a couple upgrades on them as well.
They are currently missing bloodlines, and they are missing +2 defense, but the thing is, they're able to frontline, and the knights deal with the eagles so easily here. Feudal eagles aren't that great. Oh no, but HamRTime actually not accidentally or not engaging onto the archers with the knight rather than the eagle warrior there. And the eagle warrior, like the thing that they are best for in feudal age is cleaning up skirmishes, and we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, kind of a falter. It looks like Eye's taking the military lead here, but look at what is coming in for HamRTime. I don't know how he's going to be able to force this with the military deficit now. He does have knights on the backside by the towers. But HamRTime going for the aggressive castle.
This many villages is going up. It doesn't matter how much. As long as there's a couple of knights in the field, the towers are here, and there's this many skirmishes, this is going up, and there's no stopping it. Oh my god, and it's changing positions as we speak. HamRTime actually being a little bit indecisive here, in my opinion. Deciding where to put it. I don't like this position that much, to be honest. I mean, it is protected by all the towers.
Yeah. It's going to protect his villagers. It's going to deny that wood line completely. The stone helps secure that main gold. I mean, the main gold's pretty lamed in anyways, but...
That's the thing, though. The gold was already kind of... The thing is, with this castle, is not taking any position that he wasn't already able to take, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe he felt a little unable to take the fight against him without the protection of the towers because he does have a military deficit quite large. He only had those couple knights. A couple of them are pretty weak here as well. So with 6 to what it was like 15 military,
GG is called.
it looks like
I feel like with
GG.
I's position here, the castle going up was bad enough, but I don't think the castle was game ending on its own. It was kind of like an amalgamation of everything, like being forced into this play where he was going for men at arms towers at one stage. The first tower got no value. The second tower got a little bit of value, but I think I understand why I called this. Like it not being up to the castle age and not really having any path up to the castle age against Goths in castle age.
Yeah.
Not where you want to be.
And being down 12 villagers, obviously he couldn't know how many villagers he was down, but he knew he was quite low.
I think that was impressive though. Like I don't even think I played that badly. I just think HamRTime had the correct reactions at the right times, and the ball lane there was really strong.
Yeah.
Aztecs are able to recover a little better than most, thanks to the decent eco. And he did go for the deer, which was smart, but I don't think it was enough.
We saw he was behind villagers already at that board lane point, though, wasn't he?
I didn't actually notice if that was the case.
I think at soon after that lane, you had mentioned the villager count, and I was already behind in the early game. I think before they even hit feudal age, he was down a couple of villagers, so maybe just a little bit of an off game for him. First game in the best of 5 series here. Maybe a little bit nervous, but looks like people are confident he's going to bring it in game 2. So let's see how he does in this next match.
And something else just to mention there, that Goths do get the free loom, so you'll always be down a villager versus Goths unless you are Mayans or Chinese.
Yeah.
What did I do to make the stream a slideshow? It was actually as simple as my power wasn't turned on. So when my laptop isn't plugged into the power, it doesn't run properly.
You can't run at max efficiency.
It can't even run at basic efficiency. But it's stupid because everything else is plugged in. I for some reason turned off of the wall last night. Must have been feeling a bit green last night. No game hosted just yet. How I was just hosting it.
Yeah. That was such an action-packed first game, though.
That was insane. Like, I think both players are really bringing it in this game. And you gotta remember, this is the last game before the finals. So even if they don't win the finals, this still guarantees them a small portion of the prize pool. So I think in a way, it's almost more pressure to win the semifinals than it is to win the finals.
Yeah.
Velocity, it doesn't matter because for some reason, when they designed this laptop, they said, okay, you can use your good GPU, but only when it's plugged in.
I think that is with most performance laptops.
I got LASIK last week. What's LASIK?
LASIK eye surgery.
Hello there. All part of the master plan. Last week, that doesn't help. I love the little bit of banter we got going here. As long as we keep it friendly, that's amazing. I honestly, I just want to see. I kind of want to see this go to game 5. Like, I don't even mind if which player wins at this point. But if we see 5 games of that kind of action, best thing we can ask for here.
Interesting move by Ethan LFG here to not take the easy way out and just replace the I in Christ with the word I and slap it into Jesus. He's going for gold. We'll give him a bronze.
We do have Ravines as the second map. Ravines is quite an awkward map to play, in my opinion. The game has started.
Ravines.
Khmer versus Magyars, though. Magyars are, in my opinion, a little bit of a weird pick for Ravines. They can do a killer scout rush. Ravines isn't the best map for a scout rush, but if you can get in with a scout rush on Ravines, it's really hard to clean up.
Yeah, and Ravines is pretty open though, honestly. It's very similar to the newer Golden Pit,
Oh, did they change it?
or yeah, they did. Golden Pit or Gold Rush?
Because like I remember
Gold
Ravines
Rush.
back when I used to play it, you literally walled 5 areas and it was closed.
No, no, it's very open now.
Have a quick look.
You will see that as
Oh
we.
bloody hell! That's a completely different map to what it used to be. These wood lines used to span half the map. I think we originally put this map in the map pool, expecting it to be a pretty closed map. So obviously, the devs have changed it since then. Much more open. I kind of like it, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you obviously have the vision around your base. You get 1 pile of gold, four tiles of gold, 4 tiles of stone near your base, and then there are a lot of extra resources all over the map, and it's kind of just up to you to expand and to capture those.
In
It
terms
does
of,
look like.
I was just gonna say, in terms of Civ matchup though, Magyars, like, I feel like are one of the strongest, like, scout opening Civs. At Khmer, your bonus is usually that you can skip a building, but you can't skip a barracks versus Magyars, surely.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about Khmer. I'm guessing he wants to do Khmer here just so he can keep his villagers safe as he expands out, which is a pretty good idea. It'll kind of negate the early aggression from the Magyars, so maybe he doesn't need that building. Maybe he can just use the Khmer house power to keep his villagers safe and not have to invest anything. And then he can use his quick uptime as the Khmer to get into the Castle Age quicker and just get some knights out before the Magyar player.
I think that would be honestly suicide here. I think that not like the thing is that the houses, yes, they keep the villagers safe, but they also keep them idle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still value for the Magyar player. So I think if HamRTime's gonna do this matchup well, I think that he needs to go back stable. Make sure he has a couple of choice houses near his wood lines. And not take too much damage from. I don't think that Khmer ever win this in a scout war. I think their best bet is just to get to the castle age at a reasonable time.
Right. I'm seeing this area that I is scouting right now in the left corner of the map. He can so easily wall that off and have a beautiful safe golden stone just tucked in back there.
Definitely. That's
and a
actually a
big wood
really
line.
nice map gen. Probably not for early feudal, but going towards late feudal or early castle age, that wall would be really nice on his end.
Yeah, indeed. And we have a little bit of a scout fight already. The Magyars player getting a good doink on HamRTime scout. I gotta vote in this poll.
I'm not voting in the poll.
I don't ever know who I voted for.
I have a feeling I know who it is, but we won't say that. I think in this particular matchup though, I do think Magyars have a bit of an advantage going into early feudal, early castle age, and they're not the worst civ against Khmer kind of going into the late game. It just kind of depends on if Khmer can get into elephants here, I think, because Magyar halves aren't like great. So, like, yes, you go halves, and that's the best option you have against the Khmer elephants. But then it's not. You just basically don't want to be doing infantry as Magyars ever, if you can avoid it, except for the men at arms in the feudal age. It'd also be interesting to see like a scout's archers opening from I think that could really take HamRTime off guard. And the houses are kind of negated a little bit if there are archers on the field.
Yeah, indeed. And we do see HamRTime building walls around his woodline, including those houses as well. So we know he wants to be able to keep his villagers safe there.
I'm going for a Luma. It looks like he's going to be doing a 20 pop uptime here. There is a little bit awkward trying to do a 20 pop uptime, but there is one build difference already. HamRTime having a bit more of an efficient Dark Age so far. But I on the way up to the Feudal Age, so he'll be able to get the first numbers out, which is huge in a Scout's War. And I'm assuming that's what HamRTime is doing, just because we don't see a barracks up just yet. Oh, he doesn't need one though if he just want to go straight archers, for example. It's always a bit of a debate with the Khmer, isn't it?
Yeah. Neither player looks like actually I is going forward with the villager here. Go to his perspective. He is dropping a barracks.
HamRTime just about able to click up to the Feudal Age. Did have to idle quite a bit there though as well, so the build difference is 2 in favor of Hammer, but I think there's at least 1.5 villages between them, so not terrible for either player currently. It is a little bit awkward getting up to the Feudal Age if you do have to take your deer long distance like this.
Interesting walls here from HamRTime. Does he not realize the edge of the map is right there?
He must not. Hammer, what are you doing, man? Hammer, please. That being said, if he isn't wanting to walk towards the edge of the map because he doesn't want to wall both sides, okay, maybe. But this is a shadow wall.
I have to ask him about that wall there.
No, we have to harass him about that wall. We do see I making a spear straight away, and I think that's the right call here. Having the extra spear numbers, yes, they are Magyar spears as well, so they are even a little bit stronger than your average spear. Oh, HamRTime taking a bit of damage for free on his scout though, and the spear coming forward for I. Being forced off of his berries currently. HamRTime not in the best position right now, not even with the wood to drop a stable. I would like to see him go but I taking some damage from the TC fire. And it is on a hill, so they will do more damage if it hits.
If it hits, which most shots kind of just whiffed.
But I definitely think I's in a bit of a commanding position. The score is lying to us a little bit here. HamRTime with 1 on food. I with 11 on food.
A little bit of misbalance here for HamRTime's eco. And I think, honestly, if I just keeps adding in military and does kind of what you suggested, going scouts into archers, I think that could be a really punishing move here.
Yeah. But 2 spears on the field for Hammer. I with 2 scouts and 2 spears. Nothing in the production queue currently. HamRTime getting the stable up right now. Maybe I focusing on this area. And he's gonna lose the scout.
Yeah, I pathing his scout right through all those spears. He already lost 1. The other one's gonna path right back into him. He's got his gather point set right next to that stable.
That's a real mistake there. Game is over? That must be a drop. That can't be a give me 1 second to double check things. Can they how much time didn't
especially
save?
because it says I resigned. It's gotta be.
Apparently, I's came bugged out. He did ask for a restore, but there was HamRTime did not save, so they will just be redoing game 2, unfortunately. And that's the best we can make of a bad situation. That being said, I definitely didn't hate the position I was in there. I think he is quite well practiced for this map. His Mangudai and a Rambai are absolutely destroying. Who's Vicious Mangudai? It was weird. Half Crash was running, but you couldn't click back into the game. That's a really strange bug, but we do know DE has a lot of those. In terms of how both players were playing it, though, I definitely think I has a little bit of an advantage on the map. Thanks T emote when. Not sure. Yeah, okay, that makes sense that HamRTime wasn't able to save then. Because it technically was a resign, but if the game did bug for, that is very unfortunate, and of course we will allow the re to happen.
Well, bummer. I was in a pretty good position, although he was down. Well, if he was out for a bit, I mean, that would explain it. Because they were neck and neck with villagers.
I
And then
was
that
down
would
about half
explain
a
why.
villager. There was nothing too horrendous just yet.
Yeah, that would explain why he was just pathing scouts directly into the spears.
We
He
were
couldn't
both a little
do anything
confused
but
there.
watch in pain and misery. Like, no.
Don't do that, Scout.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the div bans here. I'm actually surprised I didn't ban Burmese. HamRTime is very well known, especially in this community, for loving his Burmese picks, even on Arabia. Oh, game has started.
Yeah, I think this is the rematch.
So obviously both players going for the same civ, that is obviously required here. I don't think we'll count that as eyes re either.
No.
That's a game bugging as opposed to him calling for one. Let's have a look at both maps again, seeing as we've already talked about this matchup before. This time, I'm not really with as many... Like, I don't think it's a bad map for ravines, but it's definitely not as favorable as the one before, not having that side stone and gold that you had before. What do you think of the Eyes map?
I liked his other map. I just liked that nice little nook he had for his golden stone. I don't think it'll be a huge difference though. Like you said, it was probably something just for later game anyways and wouldn't have a huge impact on the game. These maps look fairly even between the players.
But this time, Hammer actually has access to doing a bit of a nook here going into mid-castle age. He walls between these two wood lines. He will be able to secure the stone and the gold. Sorry, the two stones and the gold in this left corner with relative ease. It's not like it's hard. It's not like it's an easy area to contest.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad for sure.
So I having a bit of a map, not a huge one, but a bit of a map advantage last time, and Hammer with a little one this time. In terms of wood lines though, they seem a little bit thicker than the last map gen as well for both players. A little bit easier to wall up between the wood lines. This is a little closer to the old ravines, not too much closer. The old ravines was just wood lines basically.
It does look like HamRTime has quite a few backwood lines though that are looking pretty juicy. I has that one that's kind of like a thick connected one, but other than that, the other wood lines are pretty far out and forward. Could prove difficult for him to gain access to those.
Especially in a scouts wall where HamRTime can just kind of wall in his villages a little bit. And an archer follow-up when you're going towards the back of your opponent's base is a little bit awkward, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got forward wood lines, scouts archers basically kills all, in my opinion.
Definitely. You know what I think I need for this semifinals is some popcorn.
Popcorn, eh? I wouldn't complain. Unless the sound comes through, then I'll complain. Oh, no.
Nom nom nom.
HamRTime, I don't think he actually pushed his deer last time. I'm glad he's pushing his deer this time. The efficiency of taking deer underneath the TC is far beyond that of not doing it like that.
Yeah. Looks
HamRTime
like
with
I pushed most of his.
He doesn't even need to
Before
push
heading
these
up.
last 3 either, because they are so close to the berries. But HamRTime with a half a Vil lead at the moment, so he's having a slightly more efficient Dark Age again. But he hasn't been able to push as many of these deer. I'm sure he's swearing about them right now.
I wonder if they're gonna go for kind of the same strategy.
I think on ravines, it almost, you think you have to do this strategy. I don't think it's even an option, to be honest.
Yeah, and we do see very, very similar click times right now from the two players. Literally like 1%, maybe even less apart.
Oh, I didn't speed up. That makes so much sense why I'm seeing everything in slow-mo.
I forgot to mention that.
You probably thought I was smart enough to do that. The difference here is that HamRTime's up an entire villager here. Did he skip Bloom? I don't think he skipped Bloom either. But he is one villager more efficient, and he's going to be up very slightly before I. So actually an advantage for HamRTime if you can use it here. But the free forging might equalize that all the same. But I do definitely worry for HamRTime if I can get to enough scouts and then goes bloodlines for them, and HamRTime isn't walled by that point or doesn't have enough spears by that point, I don't think there's a hope in hell of him dealing with that with Khmer.
But he's such a waller boy.
I think you have to
Look
be.
at his wood lines.
Like if you don't wall this, I think you just die. And there's no stable coming up for Hammer just yet. Is he just gonna go spear defensive? That could be interesting as opposed to going for his own scouts. I think it could be okay if he gets enough spears on the field. Bit of a scout war.
Obviously, the Magyar player gonna come out on top there.
And the thing is, even if it ends up being a spear war, Magyar still win that as well. Oh, but I losing his first scout there. But as we were saying before, the Magyar spearman just does a little bit too much damage to want to take any. Oh, Hammer, don't do it. Oh, oh, just saving his scout time. Hammer did go for a stable now, so I think it was just that it was lacking the wood. Oh, Hammer, not looking. Oh no, and loses his scout for free there. Score lead currently for I. Let's have a look at what both players are currently doing. 25 to 24 villages. I think it might be a bit of scouting as well. Yeah, HamRTime scouting is a little bit suboptimal right now, and he's going for lots of spears right now. He's not got anything in the queue. Not even a villager right now. I kind of love that there's a spear war happening though.
He's stacking up on pointy boys.
Thing is, as I was saying, like the free forging makes these spears actually a little bit scary. Like they're not obviously gonna kill 25 villagers scary, but you don't really want to vil fight them if you can avoid it, especially if there's scouts in the field as well. That being said, HamRTime is completely safe from any form of aggression that isn't from a ranged unit or tower right now.
Interesting little corner palisade there.
That's called the don't overchop palisade.
Yeah.
And HamRTime actually in a surprisingly okay position right now. Like it looks like I is currently ahead in military, slightly behind in villages. But HamRTime is able to protect all of his wood lines. He obviously is just farming underneath the TC. There's not really a whole lot that I can do except deny this goal, which could actually be a point of contention going into the late feudal age here.
Yeah, I almost wonder though if I
Garrison
is kind of in a better position economy-wise. Although,
one vil going down for Hammer there, a little bit sloppy there.
yeah. And now we see Hammer adding in a few scouts of his own.
I'd actually like to see these go forwards. Just so you can see what's happening in I's base. You never know, and like, we can see from our perspective that there is a few villages that are exposed. But you know, oh, I think his spear's gonna get in. Oh, that's not a hole anyway. That's why HamRTime wasn't panicking about it. But there might be an overchop on this tree at some point. I think that might be what I was partially counting on there. And just as we were saying before, like going forward with these scouts, it could be huge value for HamRTime. Troll the spears in.
Yeah, picking off one spear there because HamRTime is just clicking them towards the base. Or maybe they were chasing the scout and a little bit of good micro from I perhaps. I trying to take out the scouts now. Gonna take this fight against HamRTime. Not something that HamRTime wants to do because I has numbers and the attack bonus.
And he's getting defense as well. I would have liked to see, if he was going to go full scouts, I would like to see him on gold for bloodlines. Bloodlines is a little bit stronger than +1 defense, especially against melee units.
Yeah.
But definitely don't hate the position that I is setting himself up for. Will partially
really
depend on these spears
scout.
engage. Currently with an idle TC though, HamRTime has been a little bit more diligent with his economy currently, but I'm not going on to gold.
HamRTime with a 5 villager lead currently.
I did get wheelbarrow, so 2 villagers roughly.
Wheelbarrow boy.
HamRTime is going on to gold now, and seeing as the scouts are now out of his base, I don't hate this position as much for HamRTime. I don't know if we could argue that he does need to try and get these long range walls up. At this moment, it is a little bit tricky to do with so many scouts in the field.
Yeah, it's
and the scouts are coming towards the gold for Hammer, and this could be a huge problem for him. He hasn't got enough spears in this area, and these spears for I are in position to actually harass the villagers.
This has got to be such a pain to wall up.
HamRTime losing 1 villager there, and are the scouts getting in? Okay, HamRTime not garrisoning into the house, so maybe he's forgotten that's a thing. Not entirely sure, but that's definitely one of the best advantages of playing Hammer on a map like this. I'm gonna lose a couple of scouts over here, and so will Hammer. Oh, and the spear's getting a pretty decent engagement, but it's not enough for Hammer there.
Yeah, I with the KD lead 19-12 right now, military 12-5.
HamRTime still has an exposed villager on this gold that will be able to be picked off by I at some point. And HamRTime kind of just, using his spears and kind of wasting them a little bit here, sending them in one at a time. And Magyar scouts just don't care about 1 spear. They care about 10 spears.
Yeah.
We do see HamRTime getting +1 attack and defense and going for more spears in the queue.
A little bit late, if you're gonna do it.
I think he's kind of forced into it because he's not got enough villagers on gold to get up to the castle age at a reasonable time right now. And I stick to the castle age. I think we might see I actually take this game. His army control has been amazing.
Build your lead, kind of even back out, considering that I does have wheelbarrow.
Getting a few extra picks on villagers as well. Like, this is a good position to be in if you're I. I don't think this is over for Hammer, but if he is going for this Bloodline Scouts play, he needs to be in I's base by now. He can't really just be sitting at home, and I know he's kind of forced to sit at home. He did send some scouts over though, which I did not notice, and they all died. KG is now 30-20 in favor of I. Mill count 41-38, and HamRTime is still not on the way up to the castle age.
No, he's still forced to keep making military right now on the field base to get I out of his base.
That being said, with HamRTime adding a second stable here, Bloodline Scouts can't take on Knights per se, but they can be a pain to deal with, even with a couple of early Knights. And if HamRTime is going for this, if he can keep the pressure on, he can actually go for those long range walls as well, which I'd like to see.
I don't know, it doesn't look like he has that much pressure though.
And now with the free iron casting, I knowing to take a fight at that point, or even a brief skirmish we could call it. This is why it's so hard going cavalry, or like, yeah, usually just cavalry to cavalry versus Magyars in terms of that kind of early feudal, early castle age. HamRTime going into another wood line, but it isn't currently walled up. Okay, there we go. Just as I say it.
Doink.
We did see IQing Knights and +2 defense though.
Sounds smart.
I think that will be game ending for Hammer.
Did anyone get my joke there? I hope so.
That would be game what, sorry?
Don't worry about it.
But Beehive, we do see now Hammer clicking up to the castle age. If Hammer can weather the storm here and not take too many bill losses, I think he can still come back. Like, I don't think it's beyond the point of coming back, especially with the number of spears on the field. I do see Hammer losing another couple of villages, and the problem is these exposed farms over here.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few of these farms are exposed.
And HamRTime taking TC fire on these scouts that are just attacking a farm. I think he's not paying attention over here. Too much happening in his own base.
Villagers just dropping left and right. He's got a ton of spears, but they're just sitting idle.
I think this game will be over very soon. 44 to 41 villages in favor of I. Military count is 17 to 10 in favor of Hammer, but Hammer's military is all feudal military. Oh, but look at this huge raid in the back of I's base on this wood line. He's gonna lose so many villages. This could be a way back into the game for Hammer. And I isn't reacting. So many villages are going down. And he can't field fight them because they're +1 defense, +1 attack, and bloodline scouts.
Aye. And he lost all his knights to the spears.
That's an absolute disaster. Villager count now in favor of HamRTime again, 40 to 37. KD now still in favor of I, 51 to 42.
He's only just now noticed the raid, just now trying to get his villagers out of there. HamRTime hitting the castle age.
Oh, look
and
at that.
HamRTime with the military lead.
I think I've ever seen that much of a massacre from Bloodline Scouts. That was, like, now I is down to 35 villages. This is basically being back at that starting point of Castle Age. HamRTime will need to get +1 attack though, as well as +2 defense here if he wants to do particularly well against Knights here, or he might actually look at going into Pikemen. I think I'd prefer to see Pikemen here.
That was such a good strike from HamRTime. Everything lined up perfectly for him there. And now I think we're going to see the ability for the Khmer to become the powerhouse.
That being said, these Spearmen, like, I know that this is somewhat okay, just because of pure numbers, but I feel like with the numbers that HamRTime had, he should have gone into Pikes pretty early in Castle Age here. Will there be an overtop on this wood line though? And the gold's exposed as well. And this is gonna be, this is like a recurring issue for HamRTime, is this gold is exposed. And the two villagers are gonna get trapped here. Another couple going down for Hammer. This is swinging back and forth so quickly. And the +2 defense Knights to the TC doesn't scare them. Even downhill.
Yeah, HamRTime kind of just clicking the pikes on the Knights, and he really could just do better by putting him on defensive around his exposed areas.
Or like put defensive and patrol.
Yeah. We see the Knights attacking the woodline palisade gate in the back.
That's gonna go down so quickly. It's actually a hole at the back.
Ooh, there we go. With the house wall.
Oh, and there's a hole. There's a hole. Look at it. Disaster. HamRTime gonna lose quite a few villagers here. He is getting +2 defense and +2 attack. But this...
Oh, that house saving him.
Any other Civ. This actually really tilts me when I'm in game. This happens. But a decisive military lead for I currently. And Vil lead now back in favor of I. He is very short on wood at the moment. HamRTime extremely short on gold though, equally, so both sides kind of struggling a little bit in that respect. Oh, and HamRTime's rushing up this TC, but it's gonna get denied. That's gonna be game ending. If he can't save enough, oh, he does save the villagers pretty quickly thanks to the houses. But I still feel like if HamRTime wanted to get this TC up, he needed to wall it in. Being a bit greedy there, in my opinion. And for some reason, Hammer sent the spears forward there. I feel like they would have been better at home.
Yep.
Do you see a path back in for HamRTime here?
18-8. The military. Knight's actually on the TC. It doesn't look like there's that many villagers garrisoned in there. But the pikes will kind of skid him away. I think I's really just using his mobility here really well. Perhaps
and it's gonna
if
get another Vil pick.
We know he's a late game. He's got the endurance.
Are you referring to that arena game? that was intense. HamRTime did manage to get the second TC up, but he's taken so much damage getting the second TC up, and it's not... It only kind of protects the gold, it doesn't really protect it, per se. I know it's really hard to get these walls up, especially when you are in this position, but HamRTime really does need to try and get some slightly longer range walls up if he wants to boom a little bit as Khmer here. I's on stone now, and he's not having any TCs just yet.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna stop making military though at this point.
Did he sell stone possibly? I think he actually might have sold stone, that's why he's gone to stone now. HamRTime not got any military in the queue at the moment though, and as I was saying before, like even though yes these villagers are safe in the house, they are idle at that point.
I wouldn't call them too safe against 18 knights.
A little bit scary, isn't it? Where's HamRTime's pikes? Again, I feel like the pikes just aren't in the position they need to be. There's only 5 military left for Hammer. Like, I feel like it would take I to throw this now. I don't think Hammer has enough information to call it just yet. But I think that from our end, it looks like it would take a throw from I to now lose this.
Are we missing any kind of raids? It just looks like I doesn't. Okay, never mind. He moved villagers around. He only had 3 on gold for a minute. And I was like, how is he producing all these knights with 3 on gold?
Oh.
But wow.
And this TC don't even have fletching. This is dead. This is dead. If you have Bodkin are on this TC, the knights struggle with this and you can hop out and repair. But with this many knights, you have to hop out and repair and you have to do it constantly. GG will be called any second now. And they're gonna, yeah, they're chasing. Oh, he's going into the houses here, but this is a bit of a Hail Mary.
Save the day, and an elephant coming in to play.
The elephant's not gonna save you, man. GG is cool. Well played to both players, but I taking game 2. I feel like he just had the better strategy here. I think if HamRTime clicks up, rather than, I know that he was kind of forced a little bit into it and he got a little value at those Bloodline Scouts. But I feel like if he'd used that res to go to the Castle Age, I think he would have been in a better position.
Yeah, and he got, I don't know, he got his upgrades like so late. So like it seemed like he planned to be able to go up to the castle age sooner, but then realized later he was really unable to. And I think that kind of threw off his whole game.
All right, let's have a look and see if the next lobby has been made already. This is an intense series though. Both players really are pulling out all the stops. It's very interesting to see how both players and kind of ended up doing a really extended feudal at different points in both games. So, like 24 minutes is pretty late to Castle Age, so that was on Ravines, and obviously I didn't even get to the Castle Age on Arabia. So it'll be interesting to see if they end up similar to that in this game as well.
Well, I'm imagining that HamRTime is probably going to take this to a closed map.
Let's have a look at what maps he picked. I believe there was Arena, and he also picked Serengeti. So he's got one really open map and one extremely closed map. I think we'll see. Yep, Arena. Arena is gonna be game number 3. HamRTime's actually like he doesn't really show it, but he's actually pretty damn good on Arena. Though we did see in the other game, like once he gets to that late game macro is really powerful as well. So it'll be interesting to see how both players kind of approach this. I definitely has a bit of a fan club here, and it's kind of cool to see that I also has his own fans.
You'd think that would really dry it out.
Oh, sorry.
You know, bands on your eye.
Wait, is this him from the chat?
No, I was trying to make a joke.
Zabias just not hitting with them today. Swinging a miss. Yeah, a little bit strange Khmer pick on a map you can't boom on, but I think the house hopping is generally quite powerful. We see Cumans versus Teutons. Oh, and if I'm HamRTime here, I call a re. The golds being in this area for him means that if I scouts this and drop a castle here, HamRTime never gets to Castle Age with that kind of human boom power spike, in my opinion.
So is this the part where we put up the be right back screen and go take a 10-minute break?
Basically, and we go for a little bit of a siesta. I could definitely do it on myself.
Look at that. Unless
I haven't caught up yet. That's a re. Yeah, HamRTime. As soon as I saw this map, as soon as I saw the humans, no way in hell, if HamRTime scouts it properly, that he wants to play on with this map. Like, if he had one back gold, even if it's not the main gold, he's in a fine position. Or if yeah, I think it's just the gold positions here. It's just too easy to deny. Siege Monk push would kill him. Castle drop would kill him. There's just too many problems here with this kind of map.
We already got a new game ID.
No, Hammer called for a black and gold. Both players are allowed to do that. Once per set, so that was HamRTime's re, so that means that I still has the option to call for one. Oh, we get to see the beginnings of Arena again, how exciting. Who do I think will take the third match? I think it really just depends on if Let's just say, for example, HamRTime is allowed to get the human boom and gets away with it, and then goes for either all-in Castle Age and all-in early Imp. I don't think Teutons really have the tools to deal with it very easily. Like, Kipchaks or Cavalry Archers in general are pretty hard for Teutons to deal with. That being said, you can't really use the Q and mobility on this map, so you really do want to go for, like... If you go for the Knights, you have to go for all-in kind of flood approach, and a lot of halbs can be pretty painful to deal with in that situation. Okay, game has started. I think if it goes to late game though, I think Teutons definitely have the tools to deal with humans going into the latest parts of the game. And this time, HamRTime with a forward stone. So not the best map gem, but not the worst either. But now if I'm I want to call a read. Look at this gold and stone placement. That is terrible. I feel like if HamRTime scouts this, maybe does he even skip the human boom, or does he take it into account and then go, okay, I can now use this to my advantage in the like kind of early Castle Age.
If I doesn't call a re here, does I already plan on losing Arena?
I'm not sure if I would call this like an entirely losing map. And maybe like I do see people often want to keep their reads for the latest parts of the tournament, the match. But I still think I'd call Arena on this. If you expect that you can win Arena here, it is just such a terrible map. Like even the secondary golds and stones also line up to places where you can put castles or you could pressure from. Like it's all 5 in one long line of misery for I. I was just saying, HamRTime doesn't have the exact best map in the world, but this stone is forward, so if I just go for like a castle drop, he can actually deny Hammer completely off of stone. But then Hammer's best bet there is for that the Rams and Knights play, I think. Pardon me.
Wow, would you imagine that? The players are pushing deer.
How
Well,
exciting!
actually, only one of them.
This is top tier arena stuff. The only time I think that humans win this going into really late game is in a trash war. They get fully upgraded Hussar and they can produce them really quickly. Their skirmishers are equally as bad as Teutons, and the halbs aren't as good as Teutons, but I don't think it matters too much as long as you've got the right kind of trash composition with siege behind it. And especially if you're mixing in a few gold units as you go. I feel like that will also depend on the Relic War. I'd really like to see the Teuton player going for like a Siege Monk push almost here. I think if you boom as Teutons here and you try rivaling the human boom, I think you'd lose.
Teutons are one of the #1 defensive civilizations, though. Do you feel like that statement's a little bit of a lie?
I feel like they don't get... I feel like late game, yes, I'd agree that Teutons are one of the best defensive civilizations with crenellations like Bombard cannons, except for Turks, actually get outranged by Teuton castles, even with siege engineers. So it's one of those things where, like, yes, I'd say going into kind of that late Imperial kind of thing, pushing Teutons is a nightmare. And they get, I believe, almost every tech that you can for upgrading buildings, and also a lot of their units are very tanky, which does make pushing them more difficult. That being said, I don't think there's... I also think it's to do with the towers as well, right? Like, where they have the extra arrows. I think that the towers are more of a threat to your kind of early game aggression with towers as opposed to being the absolute best bonus for a tower rushing civ. But it's that kind of threat where it's like, do you really want to trust me? I'm Teutons. I will win this battle. HamRTime actually looking like he's going to do an FC with the humans though. You might do... So this is a build I've done a few times where you do an FC and you build a TC on the way up to the castle age. And I think that's a really strong build as well. I'm a little bit surprised to see it. Maybe just from this stone, he's kind of like, okay, better not risk it here. Be interesting to see if HamRTime actually goes on the stone here though, because I feel like that could be what changes the game for either player. The thing is, if HamRTime gets a castle down in this kind of area as we were saying before, there's no area for I to defend with a defensive castle beyond that point, other than these two stones on the right hand side. Oh, and HamRTime's going on stone. I think that wait, let's have a look at what he's scouted so far. Doesn't really have that much information. But I mean, Kipchaks in this matchup are really strong. So we're looking to see what I's information is, and I don't think I will ever be able to see that HamRTime is on stone either. And it would be a real surprise, like you don't expect to see humans going for a castle drop. 27 pop click up for HamRTime, 27 also for I not on stone though, so he's obviously planning for, I'm either going to say a boom or a siege monk push. Now this is where things get a little bit dicey for Hammer. If I gets villagers on the field and has some spears or scouts, I think that if HamRTime goes for like a blind castle drop, I think this is where he goes down pretty quickly. Hammer could also opt for a defensive castle and be massing up his Kipchaks, and that's something that Teutons don't really like to deal with their lack of mobility. But again, on Arena, that mobility isn't as bad. I actually go onto stone now, though.
We could just see HamRTime cut through the wood all the way around to the backside of his base. Slowly but surely.
I mean, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
I don't think he would see it coming.
Haha, and see that one didn't go down too badly. HamRTime going for a blacksmith market up, so I'm a little confused by blacksmith market just because it means that you don't have any military if you are going for a castle drop. But maybe HamRTime actually not going for a castle drop, but or just preemptively going onto stone, ready to drop a defensive castle if necessary. We see blacksmith stable coming up for iron. That means I'll be more able to contest the relics here.
I just want you guys to know I smashed that popcorn.
Yeah, I thought so.
my short statements.
I was like,
Did I give it away?
29 to 28 pop. So HamRTime, I would like to see him go for a TC. Is he going for this TC on the stone here? I don't know if I'd like it on the stone, but I guess it does at least protect the stone. Or is he just adapting for the castle here? I feel like maybe he forgot to send those extra villagers to stone.
There's no better time to smash a bowl of popcorn than Arena, Dark Age, and Feudal Age.
Unless a trash happens, which I've seen a couple times. And HamRTime gonna kill I's scout here. Yeah, that's a dead scout. And that means the Teutons won't get to benefit from the extra one armor here.
I guess he said goodbye.
What? Is HamRTime going forward with his... No. HamRTime, don't do it. You haven't got any military.
Just tell him to stop. HamRTime.
This is like extraordinarily risky. Like, I've done it before. He has sent 9 villages, and if he walls them in appropriately, he can get it up pretty okay. But it is so incredibly risky, especially with I actually making military.
HamRTime actually leading the scout away from where his villagers are going.
This is tense, and the scout's coming out. It's gonna see the villagers from HamRTime, and the Gaia rush is gonna happen as well.
Woo!
And boom. This is a Teuton scout, so it's a little tankier than your average scout.
Oh,
not that much though.
Villagers are like, come here. They take the wolf down. They take the scout down. They're going forward. No
one
fear.
knight coming out for Hammer for Sorry, if Hammer doesn't wall in his villagers here in time, he's dead.
He's. Ooh, ooh.
The knight's in. That's it. That's gonna be game. I calling it now. Like, oh, okay. Maybe he's walling in the village. Yeah, that's a disaster. Absolute disaster. Look at them go down. That's it. Hammer time. What are you doing? I think Hammer time will play on for a little bit, but I don't think there's any way of coming back now.
That's an oof.
That's something I would do. Oh, that's a disaster. 20 villagers now left for Hammer. And that's what I was saying before, like if you go forward with no military, you are prone to that. Like I'm not gonna say this is a throw, but like, and I think that was well played by I, but it's a little, like on the scale of throwing.
I mean, one thing HamRTime needed to realize when he saw that scout
was that there was a stable alive, right?
yeah, and that I was gonna go for relic control. He could have sent a spear out with those villagers.
And this kind of now reveals what HamRTime is planning with these Kipchaks, which means that I will be able to preemptively. He won't need to just yet because the Kipchaks aren't scary on their own, but he will be able to start preemptively start to attack a bit of a counter here. And he doesn't need to rush up a castle or anything because obviously HamRTime's had to place it defensively. HamRTime not on any extra TCs at the moment, and he can't really afford to either. I think his best and only bet here. 1 TC going to Imp. Get a couple of trebs out, use the Kipchaks to try and kite down the enemy units, and see what he can do. I don't think there's a comfortable way of winning this for HamRTime anymore.
Yeah, he's down. What is that? 15, 14 villagers right now.
And it's against one of the best booming civs. I feel like if you're gonna go for this kind of line of play, if you're HamRTime, like, instead of doing what HamRTime did, so no military castle drop, I feel like you just go for a boom. Or you go, like, it's just so risky.
Yeah, it's really interesting. He decided to go for that. Because I feel like Teutons so often go for relic control as well. I mean,
The thing is, it's pretty easy for them as well.
Do. Yeah, their knights are conversion resistant.
Oh, we're getting a nice monk pick there though. So I think HamRTime now looking just to deny the relics as much as possible.
Wonder if he's gonna try to secure them on his own. Doesn't really look like it here. It looks like he's gonna go all in 1 TC.
I don't think he has the eco to secure relics here. That's the thing. So his best bet is just to deny the relics and I think get to Imp.
Ooh, what's going up there? Market.
Thing is, also HamRTime will be able to just be annoying here if nothing else, and that's kind of the annoying thing for having your walls constantly scouted. He is very heavy on stone though, so we'll have a castle up extremely soon. Hello DJ CJ, how are you doing? And I'm gonna be dropping a castle right in HamRTime's Kipchak's face. It might get a couple of Vil picks here. Oh, but I's paying attention here. Really good to see. He's not gonna be throwing any villagers away here. And the Kipchaks just don't have the range.
The villagers just laughing in the face of the Kipchaks.
You can't get us, bitch. I think HamRTime is doing what we were kind of saying though, where he is kind of going for that 1 TC imp. He is still spanking stone from the castle. So maybe 2 treb production, or 1 treb, 1 Kipchak production. But Elite Kipchak is it's a trash upgrade from memory, but it is a lot of res to get it as well.
Hmm.
Kipchak mass will keep hammering the game. I would agree there as well, be high. Like, it's just one of those things that Toons don't like dealing with. Like, they can deal with it, especially on a map where mobility means less.
Yeah, what?
No, Hammer. Oh my god, he's gonna go for another castle drop. I mean, this time at least he has military. But it just makes me nervous after that first castle drop.
Where's he even gonna put it? It's on that gold out there.
He's
Maybe
actually
gate
idling
maybe?
to go to Imp here. But I's also idling to go to Imp, so if I think I's gonna click it first. Yep, I's clicking it first. HamRTime should be able to click it any second now. He's actually going for the castle over here, and I responding to the Kipchaks, getting the archery ranges up. Does I see this? He does see a castle going up here, so it's not like a surprise.
Surprise!
That being said, 2 trap production versus 1, even if Hammer does have to reinforce from quite far away, I think it'll be fine. In term, like, I feel like HamRTime might be able to do something with this, but he is 35 villages down at the moment.
It's massive. And I mobilizing the monks, getting the relics coming in right now. He already picked up 2 relics in the blink of an eye. He's got the 2 monks going out for another relic right now, and he's got the knights patrolling near one of the last relics.
And Hammer doesn't have any more military coming out. I just think he can't afford any more military as part of the problem here. HamRTime is pathing the Kipchaks back over to this relic, realizing that it might be getting picked up. Do humans get BBC? No, they do not. They did it be a very strange thing for them to get, and they're just passing. Okay, and HamRTime realizes
Going back for
will
lunch.
go down. No, we don't want your stupid religion, the humans say.
I find this castle interesting. I don't really see what it does for HamRTime.
I feel like it gives him a place to push from. I do understand what it's meant to do. I don't think it's going to do what he wants it to do though. But he does have the stone bank for another castle, and if he is going Treb on Treb war here, he does want that castle up pretty soon. Going for chemistry pretty early as well, so we'll actually look at adding BBC, I reckon.
HamRTime does have castle advantage though, so if he can get his other Treb up to his castle, he will have the advantage here.
And look at how many Hammer has on food. There's 1 on food currently, so this is a complete all-in now. Second castle coming up for I now. And he's getting masonry, actually quite a nice touch in a Treb war.
Those knights just trying to find a way in. HamRTime not gonna let him in though.
I like to see him actually chase down these knights. Yeah, that's what we're seeing here. Because the thing is, as long as his knights are on the field, they're a threat to his small economy outside.
So we think HamRTime's gonna try to creep forward with castles here.
I mean, he still is on stone, but I don't think he's in a position to get another castle.
Yeah, and other issue here is that I is able to reinforce with his Trebs so much quicker here. Even though HamRTime has 3 Trebs right now, the other one's just gonna take forever to get there.
I think that if I wasn't already winning this, this is definitely where he wants to be at the moment, and he should be like, he got chemistry pretty early. We might. What's Hammer doing with these? Don't do it. He's got ballistics. Oh, that's really bad for Hammer. He's sending more villagers forward. I'm guessing to repair this castle, but they're not going to get there in time. One castle will go down for I reckon.
4 trebs.
But it's going to be an exchange for HamRTime's one position at this forward. And HamRTime doesn't have the eco to do anything else behind this at the moment. I'm really committing to holding this castle. I think before that point, it was getting to be a bit of a waste of res for him, but the thing is, he can kind of afford to waste the res here. Hammer cannot.
Barrack. HamRTime didn't even have a barracks.
Oh, getting +1 defense.
I using villagers and Tectonic Knight to take down the trebs.
That's beautiful. GG is called, yeah. That game was well over, or it was over there. YOLO castle drop from HamRTime just cost him so much in that game, and it forced him into a strategy against Teutons that you don't really want to have to do. I feel like Teutons are stronger in that kind of early, like, probably more so towards the kind of mid-Imperial Age. But even in early Imperial Age, they have the tools to deal with the humans, especially on humans that haven't boomed, or they don't really have a lot of pressure on the map. No worries,
Yeah,
thank you so much for staying around.
I feel like it was a really aggressive, like, trying to wall in his villagers there. He put the house so far forward, and I obviously knew it was coming. HamRTime attacked the scout. So even if the scout had done a just passing and I hadn't been paying attention, HamRTime decided to attack the scout to just make sure that I knew he was coming. And then he tried to put a house like all the way up on the gate, basically, rather than just using it at the corner of the castle foundation, putting all the villagers right in that one little area and getting them all kind of walled in there.
And like, I do understand it, because like, if you can get a house on that gate, they literally can't path out of it. It's just, it's so risky, especially when you haven't got any military. You haven't got a lot of, like, he obviously did have the information that a stable was present as well. And that's kind of when you go, okay, I need to play this safer. Like, I can't just kind of YOLO it a little bit too much. But we'll see game 3 being on, is it 3 or 4? Game 4, sorry, being on Serengeti. HamRTime does need to win this one if he does want to have any chance of going to the finals next week. Hopefully it'll start soon.
HamRTime eager to get into the game.
Also, I think, wait, C notes? Did I read it wrong? Wait, no, Serengeti, it should be, wait, it should be on Serengeti as it's HamRTime's home map. Ah, there we go. We'll be able to hear a post-game interview with I. I mean, if I wins this, or if HamRTime win this, if they would like to do a post-game interview, I'm completely down for that. It's kind of looking in favor of I, of course, but anything can happen. Now, in terms of Serengeti, we did see I being pretty dominant on the open version of C notes, well, not C notes, of ravines. But he doesn't have access to that Magyar's pick again. So, what do you expect I to pick here?
Mongols.
Mongols? Mongols is banned. In fact, I think I was the one who banned Mongols himself. I think I'm gonna predict we're gonna see some Franks. I have a
Frankie
feeling,
boys with
and
their
I
healthy scouts.
think Hammer might pick Magyars here.
What about some Berbers?
See, I don't particularly love Berbers for Serengeti just because they don't have anything special in Feudal Age. Serengeti is such a heavy feudal map that you want something decent for Feudal Age. And like,
They have quick builds.
yeah. It's one of those bonuses where it's like, it's fine.
New lobby.
Probably a DE bugging.
Yeah.
You think you'd take Magyars over Franks? I think it depends on the part of Feudal Age. One of the few civs that can deal with Magyar scouts in the early Feudal Age are Frank scouts. So in terms of a okay kind of counter pick in the early Feudal Age, I think that Franks work. In terms of going into the early late Feudal Age, early Castle Age though, Franks lacking bloodlines to their scouts does become a big issue. And I think Magyars can close out the game in late Feudal Age. Yes, Mongols, Franks on Serengeti, not on so much on C notes. Magyars definitely have more flexibility, that is true, but Franks generally have the better economy. Okay, game has started. Magyars and Khmer. I going for Khmer here. We've seen this matchup before on Ravines. I wonder if it'll go better for I here than it did for HamRTime.
Copycat.
Khmer are a solid civ on Serengeti, honestly, just with the house hopping. But it's still one of those situations where I'd prefer to be a Franks. I'd prefer to be maybe Huns, just for the faster producing stables. I don't think Khmer get anything that special on the Serengeti, but the house hopping is nice.
Interested to see HamRTime on this open map. Obviously, he did take the game earlier as Goths on Arabia.
I think that the biggest problem for Hammer in that game was just in the arena game though it was just, as I was saying, it's just too YOLO. Like it wasn't real, like it just wasn't what he needed to do there at that time. Maybe he panicked a little bit, saw the matchup and thought, I don't want this going too late. Not entirely sure.
Yeah. 3 on wood, would you imagine that?
What a build order, guys. Oh, and taking a bit of damage on the scout. Oh, is Hammer going for the lame? Hammer's going for the lame again. I realize it? I's not realized it yet. Now, Serengeti does have the additional deer, but it doesn't mean that I will have to push additional deer here. Hammer, going for 2 lames today, and I think that this one's going to pay off even more than it did on the first one. Because the thing is, Serengeti's build order is already pretty awkward, and not having an elephant as well. Well, I going for a counter lame, I wonder. Look for the elephant. The elephant is a little bit exposed for HamRTime.
Oh, he's
lowering
right
in
now,
second. Yep. And with 2 boars as Magyars, like this is like an incredible position to be in on Serengeti. Like even with the food wasted on the TC, this ends up being worth it because HamRTime did keep his TC working almost the entire time there. Have a look at the build counts. Yep, 15 all.
Doink.
Oh, and
nice.
Trading the HP on the scout there for a couple of doinks onto the villager. I think that means both scouts actually have the same amount of health now.
That was a pretty solid hit from the TC, I think.
Oh, it's actually a little bit less as well.
Yeah.
So HamRTime actually getting quite an advantage into this Dark Age already. That could snowball, especially as I is not currently pushing deer. He is taking the long range. He's going for full walls here, and I feel like that's... It's just, on Serengeti, it's just so hard to make sure you are fully walled, but I feel like this is what he's been forced into doing. If he can get up here without getting touched, he will be in a really good position though.
Yeah, and that wall not looking too hard, but he would possibly wall out a couple of his golds. No, it looks like he's gonna try to palisade through that whole wood line there.
The thing is, it takes one hole here or one tower, and HamRTime gets in with Bloodline Scouts. But I, very quick at reacting to these lames, kind of knows how to deal with them, which is good to see. At this level, you'd kind of expect it a little bit.
Looking like HamRTime about ready to click up. Just got Loom, force dropped, and on the way up to the Feudal Age. But I really quickly getting these walls up.
That's actually an impressive amount of commitment to these walls. I don't think I've ever seen Serengeti fully walled by minute 9. But literally one tower, HamRTime gets in here, and he wins, basically, in my opinion, if the Khmer player is going for a FC. If he's still going for a fast feudal and gets some spears out, even as a kind of like an assurance thing, I think he's in a better position. But we are going to see a bit of an FC here, and a panic house is going down, so Loom will be gone. At least he's not going to be housed. HamRTime barracks going up now with 2 villages. There will be these stables up relatively soon as Feudal Age is up. But HamRTime must realize that his opponent is fully walled at this point, so he has to... I think he has to do one of two things right now. He has to decide, do I commit to a heavy kind of feudal play? And go for like towers and archers or whatnot? Or do I go, okay, you know what, you've walled off, I'm playing for Castle Age now?
I think he's going to choose to go for the aggression. Based just on what he's been doing today in the earlier games here, it really feels like he's trying to focus on that aggression early game.
Now, I feel like HamRTime needs to try and path this scout in here just to see that his opponent is fully walled and there's no holes. Barracks coming down for Khmer now, so he will be able to get defensive spears going out into the Feudal Age. So it looks like he might just be playing a bit of spear defense, or he will just do play feudal as well. I think that's still a valid option. He did go up at 24 pop as opposed to anything later. But to see Hammer, tossing these back to the berries because he is lacking quite a bit of food, even though he did have the extra boar. He kind of didn't go for any of his deer here. So even though he got the extra boar, I feel like I actually got more food. But he's going for the shorefish as well. It's actually really resourceful here. This is why even with the boar, I feel like HamRTime would have been pretty good to have actually pushed a couple of his deer in. We see a blacksmith coming up for I currently. 3 scouts on the field for HamRTime. 4th one coming out at the moment. I believe, possibly. I think there was one at some point.
I think he's just stopping with that.
No, he is adding the 4th one. There we go. The palisade wall is being tapped on, but there are spears behind this for I at the moment. Oh, and the wall's being deleted.
Going for that aggression.
Still think we need to see a tower from HamRTime if he wants to make any kind of meaningful damage here. Oh, he's sending forward villagers.
Going forward.
But now that they've scouted... And the other thing to note is that the gold for I is still accessible, but he hasn't got any stone accessible. Forward archery range instead, actually, so we're not going to see... Oh, tower going down straight over for I, though. Exactly what he needs to do is gold is exposed. I mean, he does have this back gold still, but I feel like if he didn't see the villagers going forward, if they were going for a tower here, and he didn't have a tower here, it would be a bit of a disaster for him.
HamRTime just picking fights with pointy boys with those scouts.
There's a lot of spears on the field for I at the moment. But a couple of archers will deal with the spears, but I responding with his own archery range really quickly. Loading quite a bit of wood though.
Yeah, and I just doing a phenomenal job in these games with scouting. It's really alerted him to everything that HamRTime's been trying to pull off in these games and really stumped him. House though, didn't see that coming, did he?
32 bills to 33 in favor of I at the moment. HamRTime with a decent military 8 to 7. They are mostly spears for I at the moment. Oh, don't take that fight with the scouts! Don't do it! And how am I actually mixing in skirmishes here? So realizing that his opponent's gone for a range straight away, I imagine. He doesn't even have the scouting information for it.
So why didn't our Magyar's player this time make some spears with that forging?
I feel like when you see your opponent go for this defensive of a wall, and you don't see any scouts in the field, I feel like you might think, okay, maybe he's not going to go for scouts here, and I think that's what HamRTime has decided. And I feel like archers are a better follow-up if you can get to them. We are going to see an extended fuel here. The wheel going down for Hammer though, not ideal at this stage of the game. 36 wheels to 35 in favor of HamRTime though at the moment. And skirmishes.
I housed again, but strategically losing some units so he doesn't get housed for long.
Thing is with skirmishes is like, yes they do counter spears, but they're not the best counters. You can see the spears are just kind of able to keep them out of range here a little bit. But if HamRTime does go forward with these scouts, I think there's a hole there that the scouts can path through. And HamRTime's pathing forward at the moment, because the spears are out of position. That's the important thing here. Oh, but it's still one spear here, and the scout HP is just too low here, and the units are being placed in the way, losing 4 scouts now.
Basically 5.
And the other one's weak as well. HamRTime will likely want to go to the castle age here and try and take it in castle age, I reckon. I is committing quite a bit to feudal though.
Yeah, and we saw in the other game when HamRTime didn't have any military, I just took the game away.
That being said, all of what I has currently produced is countered by skirmishes at the moment. I'd actually like to see him kind of ignore the spears and try and actually take out the archers here, because I feel like the archers are the problem here. Because the thing is, the skirmishes and the spears don't become that scary unless I does upgrade them. Update on last game and current one. So I won game 3, and currently it's looking like I is in the lead here at least.
And probably going to be able to force HamRTime off this gold.
I actually would like to see a tower being placed here. I know that you don't really ever want to be forced to make any tower. That being said, there are 6 skirmishes here. The problem is that he's reinforcing from I's base here. They still have no upgrades, so they're not really dealing with things that quickly here. HamRTime on the way up to the castle age though, and he's dropping a tower, so I feel like he'll survive feudal age, but I think up to castle age at a much quicker time than I anticipated. Definitely like the position I has set himself up for at the moment.
Yeah, and super active with the military.
That being said, I think if HamRTime does get to Knights here, I feel like it could be a bit of a problem for Khmer. Because they have to commit iron casting for theirs to be as strong as the Magyars. And HamRTime forced to delete the tower he was dropping. Just because it was in range of the archers there. But this should have been done preemptively, and we do see I also going for Bloodlines and +1 defense, so it looks like he'll be going for maybe Knights and Crossbow in Castle Age. I don't think I've ever seen someone manage to wall Serengeti so quickly though. I think that a bit of the map gen does come into this a tiny bit, because he is spawned a little bit closer to the edge of the map than I think you'd normally spawn on Serengeti. But I definitely think that I has played this so far really well. Double stable, double range. He's going for +2 defense first. So it looks like he won't be upgrading these crossbows, these two crossbows just yet. I would still like to see them upgraded just because there are still quite a few of them. And HamRTime going for 3 stable production. Can't sustain 3 stable production for too long. But he maybe just wants to get the Knights on the field at the moment. I think I'd still prefer to see 2 stable and a couple of extra farms, but he is seeding more farms as we speak. And this kind of eco balance is pretty close to what you need for 3 stable production. Crossbow is in for I. Don't know if HamRTime has any scouting information on these scouts being made. Oh, he does have Knights, because the range actually sees the stable.
And I see some Elephantos queued up right now for HamRTime.
Magyar Elephantos.
Magyar Elephantos.
Most OP unit in the game. That being said, 1 elephant isn't that scary. We get a few more.
2 more on the way.
There's 3 elephants in the forward siege. Now that's a scary army. Elephants, knights, crossbows, and siege. That's where things can get a little bit rough for Hammer. Especially because he needs. I feel like if he gets to like 20 knights here, that's where things can't. He can still kind of take this game. I think I actually DQ'd +2 defense because he was originally getting it from memory. But he's gonna go to his base. No, HamRTime, don't do it. You need to clean this up if you're HamRTime, in my opinion. Like, this is gonna be terrible for Hammer. Losing the stable as well. That being said, if he does manage to get in through his walls, but I already on it. And the thing is, it's the elephants here that's the problem, and he's only just making the monastery now. Yep, unless these knights get in, I don't think there's any way of coming back for Hammer, and I would have preferred to see them defending here instead. The thing is, 4 elephants with 18 knights, the knights will still win.
Yeah. They'll take a bit of damage, but he's taking a good trade here, actually. The elephants weren't attacking back, so he got quite a bit of damage down onto them. If he's paying attention, he can take 2 out.
Let's have a look at villager counts real quick. So actually still Vil numbers in favor of Hammer at the moment. 46 to 44.
Did get in.
Oh, he got in! No, that's a disaster for I. Luckily, he does have these Khmer houses, which will keep him at least alive if idle. We see I going for a 3rd stable though. Can't sustain that 3rd stable, my friend. Especially when your food economy is being denied like this. Elephants are really, really expensive. And it's going to take quite a bit to deal with the knights here. If I'm HamRTime here, I send all of my remaining knights forward as well.
Yeah, he's still got quite a few idling back at home right now. I with 27 idle villagers.
Oh, and look at this now. The crossbows actually will get a pretty decent engagement here. That being said, the knight's still in I's base. Like, there's nothing you can do on this kind of economy. Like, there's no food coming in, basically. Is Hammer adding more knights forwards? Okay, he's sending them forward now. I'd have liked to see them a little sooner. Because now they actually might get cleaned up. Or the numbers that are already inside might get cleaned up here. But they're gonna engage on the crossbows and the skirms, and the more that go down here, the better it is for Hammer when he sends his next flood in. The elephant really is an MVP though. Not sure why Hammer's attacking this wall, he's still got the hole there. What are you doing, Hammer? And Hammer going for defensive siege. I would have liked this to be a forward siege match up, honestly. Especially when he's already in that position where he's been denying his opponent off of food for so long.
Yeah.
I honestly thought I had this, now I think Hammer has it somehow. Like, this is insane to me.
Look at the villager count.
38 to 54, like... And he's still being denied off of these farms. The thing is, most of the farms aren't near the TC, so he can't just be farming underneath the TC. I'm now sending his villagers off on a little bit of a merry walkabout. But the thing is that he's not got enough wood for even a lumber camp, let alone a TC. He's not got the stone for a TC either. I feel like it was just such a big mistake from having so many farms away from the TC here, even if you are Khmer.
He doesn't even know what to do with these villagers right now.
I have a feeling we might see GG called soon. We do see forward siege coming down now for Hammer. Nothing coming out of it just yet because his wood eco is pretty bad right now. Does need to rebalance his eco so he has a few more on wood. But one night pathing over here. Yeah, GG is called. We're going to game 5, Xavius. Oh, thank you so much for the raid, Sivas. Hey, how are you going, man? And how was your stream? Good timing. We're going to game 5. Yeah, definitely a nice comeback from HamRTime. Like, I'm surprised because I thought that I had that in the bag at one stage, but I think it's one of those things where if you lose the pressure and then your opponent gets in with their own units, it does become pretty rough.
Mr. HamRTime just flipped that game on its head.
Losing the Ellies lost it. I wouldn't say that losing the Ellies alone lost it. I think losing the Ellies, losing all in HamRTime space, not really. And HamRTime did have pretty good crisis management there. He had 15 vills kind of popping in and out the TC and 5 in and out of the tower. A bit micro intensive for that situation, but that's really important there. That's true, Vihai. Divas, what were you up to today? It's not even bothered. Well, we'll see how game 5 goes. Honestly, it is on I's home map. So it is a little bit of an advantage for Hammer. Well, okay, they're just gonna have a quick, a very, very small break. I quickly need the bathroom, so I'll be back in just a couple of moments. If you'd like to keep him entertained. Oh no, you're gonna go as well.
I'll do the same.
How dare you? I'll just quickly throw up my browser.
I was like, veto.
Streams are going so good, thank you, Seabass. I will be back in 1 minute though. Alright, I am back. Hello, Daily, how are you doing? I can't wait to see how this game goes, honestly. Alright, let's have a look. So let's just double check what map it was gonna be on. It's going to be on C notes. So I feel like both of these players can play C notes pretty damn well. We've seen Hammer actually doing somewhat better on open maps with the exception of ravines, and I doing better on closed maps so far. Sorry, excuse me. Got a bit of hiccups here. But I feel like this game is gonna just be so intense, honestly. Like, I don't know what civs each player are gonna go for either, because we've seen a lot of cavalry up until this point. I feel like C-Notes is more of an archer, like, I don't think it's exclusively archers, but I think it's better for archers than cavalry. Alright, we are in. Aztecs versus Huns. I believe Zabias will be back in one moment. Unless he's muted.
Are you ready to rumble?
Oh, there we go. I'm just speeding up to catch up to live gameplay at the moment. Aztecs versus Huns, though. What do you expect to see from both players?
So far.
Overlays, thank you.
On your stream. Aztecs versus Huns.
Kind of expect to see Men-at-Arms Archer opening from the Aztecs, and the Huns I think we can expect to see Scouts. Maybe into Archers or Skirmishers depending on how HamRTime does.
Yeah, I kind of like the Aztecs in this position.
Oh, I think HamRTime was looking for another lane there for a second.
This is a pretty wallable map, especially if you are I right now. This man invoked the Black Forest power.
The thing with walling C-Notes though is that all of your woodlines end up being rangeable by archers and towers. So that's the downside to these woodlines. They're long, but they're quite thin.
Well, if you're HamRTime, you don't have to worry about that. He's barely got any woodlines.
And he hasn't got a re either, so he can't call for a re. I don't know if I'd call for a re on this map. I don't think it's terrible. But he does have all 3 golds forward, a stone forward, and he has got 1 stone that's accessible at the back. Whereas I does have a back stone and back gold here. The other golds are a little bit exposed, and one of them is on this hill, which can pressure the secondary gold if HamRTime adds Siege and Castle Age.
Both players really aggressive with their scouting.
And the funny thing is that both of these civs, I feel, are some of the strongest in kind of like early Castle Age. Aztecs can go for like a 3 barracks eagle kind of play, or they can do men-at-arms into archers and then switch into eagles if they like. Huns have lots of options in the Castle Age that are really strong as well. I think that HamRTime could also try. I don't think he's got the map for it. I feel like if he did, it'd be very risky. But if he tries going for a Drush FC here, it does set him up really well for early Castle Age. I think that might be what we're seeing here, based on the amount of villagers walling and the villagers walling. But I already clicked up to the feudal age, seeming to have a little bit more of an efficient. Oh, I think both players already got loomed. Never mind. So 20 pop up. We'll be seeing fast scouts coming out at the moment. I feel like that could punish Hammer if towers or archers are added. If he is going for that a bit more of a greedy Drush FC build right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility, especially with these woodlines that HamRTime doesn't have. And
the fact that all 3 golds are forward as well, just... I think I would prefer to see men-at-arms archers here still. I think Drush FC, if you can get to it in this matchup, is really good. But
Looks
the
like he's trying to play arena.
Imp is where Aztecs win easy. I wouldn't say they win easy, but I would say they should win. If the thing is, if I can get into Paladin, which is very difficult in a 1v1, but if he can get to Paladin and Imp, Aztecs do struggle a little bit until they have a sufficient number of monks. The pikes just don't really stand up too well to Paladin, and they can't really ever catch them either. Just up to the feudal age now. HamRTime hasn't even clicked up just yet though. And he is walling up. He has quick walled this, so there is no holes at the moment, but they are weak walls at the moment. There's a lot of eco investment to get these walls up at the moment. But if it works, I think HamRTime will be in a really good position. I'm not sure if we will see Drush. So we're not seeing a Drush, so we might see kind of like a 3 barracks Eagles FC. We might see a FC Crossbow. It's a little bit worrying that he hasn't clicked up yet. I would DQ one of these villagers and head up by now. Double layer palisade walls coming in now. Okay, now HamRTime click up to the feudal age. And so far getting away with this. It'll be up to I to punish this kind of greedy build. I see this. He does know where all the golds are for HamRTime as well, so it'll be really up to I to read the map at the moment. Do you see an archery range coming forward at least from I, which I think is decent. I do just worry that the archers won't be able to do the damage needed early enough.
There's a little bit of woodline that HamRTime's going to be able to have safe to get wood supply from.
I'm not sure if it's intentional, but HamRTime's actually left these stragglers alive. I feel like it might even be intentional here. Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I's not even on gold for the archery range at the moment, so we'll only be able to produce 1 archer. We won't have fletching, so villagers will just be able to wall behind. The poll saying that I will win this.
If they go there to wall that 1 palisade.
That could have been pretty painful for Hammer if that had been allowed to go down. I'd actually probably even look at repairing that 1 palisade, because now that it's down, it means that there is a weak spot in the wall. HamRTime lacking a bit of food to go up though at the moment, so not the cleanest FC right now. It's just all this investment from walling. Yes, it's keeping the scouts at bay, but it is hurting HamRTime's eco at the moment. That being said, even 2 archers with no fletching, they aren't scary to villagers. Like, they take, I think, 2 damage from the archer, and they walk back and do the same task they were doing before. HamRTime lacking a bit of gold now because you have to buy some food.
Yeah, but I just nowhere close to being able to click up.
There's a little bit of a macro misplay here. There's almost 400 wood floating at the moment.
He had 14 on wood a moment ago.
And HamRTime up to the castle age, and he has not been punished for this, in my opinion, very greedy FC. I think if I'm Hammer here though, instead of trying to build, I was gonna say build a couple of houses here. You can use a couple of palisades as well once you've got the houses up. But it's just a little bit too much hassle trying to keep this up like this. Oh wow, he's going for a full house wall.
What do you think he goes into here? Right into the castle age?
I don't think he hasn't got the barracks up already, so I think he has to do eagles. Like, because you have to get the barracks and then get the archery range. I think it'd be a mistake for him to go for a boom. Like, if he goes for a boom here, I think that I realizes this and kind of goes a really aggressive castle age and wins. But HamRTime is actually in a pretty good position right now to probably do 2 barracks of eagles if he can get the barracks up soon enough. He was just lacking a bit of wood here though. Yeah, 1 barracks going up now. I needs to give up in that corner. You think he's going to smush? I don't know if smush would be the best option for Hammer. I don't think it'd be the worst either, because Huns don't get their own... Like, Hun monks themselves are terrible. Like, their unique tech is called atheism for a reason. So it is harder to defend against a siege monk push if you are in the position of I. But light cavalry might be able to clean up depending on what HamRTime would add to that smush. Second barracks coming down now.
Yep, and there's the Eagle Warrior upgrade coming in.
Yep, so we're going to see 2 barracks of Eagles at the moment. As long as they have even +1 defense, they'll be able to deal with everything I can send in the feudal age. I think to go up here, I think that's the right call at the moment. He did start this archery range and sable on the outside, but it will look like he's going into knights in the castle age. If HamRTime gets this scouting information, I feel like he will then know to add monks pretty early in the castle age here. Or mix pikes. And this scout, I think that he's just trying to get value information with him as opposed to trying to take any fights with him. In terms of this hill though, like it's a small hill, but if either player gets a hold of it, it means that they can pressure each other's golds and stones. I think it's more crucial for I to have control over it than HamRTime.
Mm-hmm.
But we could see it be a point of contention for both players.
I was 1 archer on the wood line over there.
Getting absolutely eaten.
Hello, Mr.
No clutching.
Shadow 28. Jovated
Thank you for the bits, Evelyn. How are you doing today? The one thing, usually if you can get enough numbers of eagles out, they can deal with knights, at least in the smaller numbers. But Huns have an easier time of massing them because they have faster stables. I wouldn't like to see I go into cavalry archers here. I think that would be throwing the game. And we do see double stable bloodlines coming in, and I believe +1 defense was already researched.
Would you like to see HamRTime adding an additional TC on one of these wood lines out here?
I think he has to. I don't think it's an option, but I wonder if adding... If he wants to go really aggressive here, I think adding forward siege and maybe a monastery is necessary.
I think, yeah, I think the monastery is a must.
3 stable knights coming out for I now, but he doesn't have the eco to support even 1 stable, well, 2 stables, let alone 3. And 3 knights will get cleaned up by this many eagles. I don't know if I realizes this just yet.
Well,
and the monastery
here,
straight away.
I don't know how these eagles get in on their own at this point.
I think, yeah, if we see a monastery coming down for HamRTime, even just to be annoying to villagers walling behind, that's worth it, let alone having it for the knights as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you like that he built it defensively?
I think it's fine here.
Yeah.
I think that the problem is if he goes forward with villagers for the forward monastery, and they get sniped on the way, then he loses the access to that hill temporarily, and it ends up weakening his eco, and it's not the strongest economy currently. Eagle's getting a decent engagement there. I think 1 or maybe 2 eagles went down there, but the HP went down for I. And HamRTime dropping a TC on this woodline and gold, actually a really nice position for it. But I would like to see him actually constantly producing monks here, just with the numbers of knights that we are seeing.
Hey, there's the walls.
Well, who wins this fight? I actually don't know. There's quite a few knights here.
I don't think the Eagles have enough upgrades.
Yeah. He gets a conversion. That might have ended up being worth it. No conversion either. I definitely looking a little bit stronger right now, but he's doing a CA switch. I mean,
oh boy.
You can use some mobility of the CA here, but I don't like this. The thing is, Aztecs get one of the best skirmishes in the game. Like we saw it in this set yesterday, where the Atharthal skirmishers actually were killing longswordsmen with relative ease. Let alone CA here. I think I would prefer to see I kind of committing a little more to the knights, and maybe adding. I'm trying to think what else to add here. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure.
Are we gonna have a scout conversion?
Nope.
Ooh.
Nothing. Look at that extra conversion resistance. It's absolutely bonkers. I think
Just
this.
sat in that conversion.
I think we might just see I going for full gold army, keeping the knights alive and having the CA behind it, which could also actually work if he can snipe the monks. The third barracks coming down for HamRTime, but he's kind of laming his TC a little bit with that.
I think he just really wants that wood and gold. I think any farms he's going to add are going to be in that walled up area of his base. You
That
can
is
see dropping
true.
the additional mill in the back right now, actually adding additional farms.
I still have to keep an eye on this hill though, because I feel like if either player gets a hold on this hill, that could be a disaster for the other. I would like
really
to see
thought I was
HamRTime
gonna
drop a
take
siege
control.
workshop as well. He can go for some scorpions or a couple of mangonels here to deter
And
these
really force
DA.
I to fight him.
I feel like the mangonels would be to force him to fight, whereas the scorpions would be a defensive move. We see a somewhat defensive siege workshop coming out for HamRTime. The knights just passed. They should be able to see this though. I feel like the thing is, none of these units really, like, they don't kill,
Ooh, but I's definitely going to get in here with the CA behind.
and the Eagles aren't in position just yet. They will be in position soon, but I think that was 2 villagers going down, and it's not walled behind, so these knights are going to be getting in. The question is, can I do enough damage to make this worth it? I think if HamRTime gets some sneaky walls up somewhere, or an extra TC, that could be okay. Oh, he's deleted all of those buildings so he could get a good engagement. I think HamRTime wins this engagement. 22 Eagles, not enough knights really to threaten it, and the knights don't have enough upgrades. And the HamRTime now with the upgrade advantage here, and he's gonna clean up this fight completely. 63 vills to 51. I still on 1 TC at the moment, but I is going for that siege workshop on that hill.
I love the monk just slowly trying to make his way to the fight.
Like, wait for me.
I'm on my way, lads.
I just think the CA switch was like, if you are gonna do CA here, you either need to commit to it and you go for like full gold army here. I think. That being said, there is a lot more knights now, and these knights are to clean up the Eagles. There's no monks here just yet to change the fight.
Yeah, he's not really creating a ton of monks. I see 2 on the field right now. No more queued up, but he is adding a ram.
Don't like
Actually,
the ram.
both players adding rams.
I understand from HamRTime if he is wanting to soak arrow fire, but I far prefer this to be a mangonel or a scorpion. Getting conversion on this CA though, and the knights fight is actually looking kind of in favor of the knights. The issue is
heavily.
just like HamRTime either needs more monks or it needs pikes here. Like, yes, eagles in small numbers. In small numbers, knights lose to eagles. But when your opponent's massing knights like this, a few pikes never go amiss. And the control of this game is going between the 2 players. More barracks coming down for HamRTime. Realizing that he needs more military on the field. 2 rams on the field for I, and 1 on the field for HamRTime. HamRTime actually losing a few more eagles for free, and he's going to lose these villagers that are on his forward wood line.
Why doesn't he want monks? I don't understand.
Neither. Like, I know the CA behind it do make the monks a little harder, but they also, I feel like the monks are better here as a transition into some pikes. HamRTime still with a considerable eco lead though, so this ram push needs to do damage for I. I still think a mangonel here would be better. Or like a mangonel with some rams or something like that. That being said, the rams are taking the production down pretty quickly. HamRTime is taking pike now, but it's a little bit late.
Yeah, and he's just passing those eagles in 1 by 1, losing them. Not helping his case here.
I feel like
if he had 2 or 3 monks here in the back right now, these knights would all be running away and his eagles would clean up the rams.
HamRTime is holding though, and the thing is here that there is a bit of a... there's a time limit on this, right? I'm so far behind in eco from only being on 1 TC here. But now more vills are getting picked on this gold and wood line over here. Definitely doing a lot to keep the pressure on. There is a lot of eagles here though, so they should be able to defend this now. As long as HamRTime does repair this.
Ooh, so close.
But this fight is much better. Even with 2 pikes mixed in, this fight changes so much.
Oh, did he run out of resources? Oh, barely keeps that up.
Oh, HamRTime now extremely bottlenecked on his wood though. Both players are going to be in an extremely extended castle age. And the vill count's narrowing quite considerably as well. But rams are pretty expensive. Like, they're cheap when it comes to the late game, but in terms of early game, they are quite an expensive unit. Because wood is a little bit...
fight for HamRTime.
Oh, look at that, all of them going down, and it's just as simple as adding a couple of pikes here. Like, yes, the monks are really good as well, but he needed one or the other, and now that he has got one or the other, he's in a really good position to now counter raid.
Look at that, military 24-5 in favor of HamRTime.
And HamRTime with 5 barracks of eagles and getting a ram out. See, now the ram makes a little more sense because he's already got the kind of map control. To slowly push that siege workshop, and then he can add his own siege workshop on that hill. Or even, I did see him on stone, so you might even consider adding a castle on that hill once the siege workshop's down.
Yeah, and that's what I was just looking at as well. He has 400 stone right now. He's pretty close to getting a castle up.
This is such an exciting game. Like, I still think I can play back, but the time is very much ticking here. And he has to do, I feel like, I don't think he has the eco to do it, but I feel like he almost is forced into going for a longsword switch here.
Aye, this isn't looking good.
How many numbers is this? 17 eagles, 3 monks, and a couple of pikes. Do you see any way back for I at this point? I still think he could possibly win, but it's looking really rough. The eagles are in. There's no way. This game is going to be over very soon. Like, I think the only way is that I holds here, he masses up his units, and they can deal with the eagles once he's massed up his units. I mean, now his entire eco is going to be starved, and his eco isn't as strong as HamRTime's either. Knight's actually not doing as badly as I was expecting here, because there aren't that many pikes mixed in anymore. But the thing is, HamRTime can now add that forward castle we were talking about before, and he can just send more and more eagles in until his opponent is gone.
And the Rams slowly but surely taking out every single building forward that I has.
What an insane set though. Both players playing absolutely amazingly. Game is cool. Well played to both players. HamRTime is going to move on to our grand finals next week. Holy shit. And the KD
GG, well played.
KD actually in favor of either taking some more cost-effective trades, but eagles are just so cheap. I feel like if that's any non-meso civ, I feel like HamRTime dies there.
Feeling bad.
That situation.
Yeah. I was really favoring Aztecs in this game. And I think HamRTime played that incredibly well.
I do think that he almost lost it though when he had that all-in cavalry push coming in and he hadn't already teched Pike. I feel like that was definitely a mistake on his end. HamRTime.
He was dropping the cast on the hill.
Well done, man. Well played. I thought I had you for a minute there.
Shadow, you weren't playing.
What are you talking about?
He said you thought. He said, I thought.
I thought I had you for a second. Oh my god. We can just remove ZeroZabias now, can't we? But of course, well played to I as well. Like, I has been like such a strong player throughout this entire tournament, and it's a shame that I can't have both of them moving on to the grand finals. But of course, HamRTime will be moving on. Yes,
What about I's fan base?
I'm sure they're disappointed, but I think the games were just so good, honestly.